And I kind of thought back to this article is obviously talking about creative burnout. And having suffered from creative burnout before, I was just thinking about where some of the parallels were. So, ironically, the reason I started my podcast was creative burnout because I used to be a blogger and I just completely burnt out trying to write articles and I just couldn't do it, and it was really stressing me out. And it's interesting because I started podcasting, which is actually more work than anything else, and I've been doing that for 10 years. And I think that there's probably a couple of things here. I think the first thing is I was working in a format that was much more enjoyable for me than writing kind of very structured things. And it just that kind of gave me more of an element of control that I think. And I think one of the issues with creators is very often we're kind of setting our own deadlines and we're beating ourselves up over deadlines and I think this happens any job in deadlines and things that we've agreed, and actually they're not that important and we can shift them, and we're just kind of getting trapped in our own head. So I think that's kind of part of it. And I think the other specific thing with creators is being a slave to the algorithm in terms of having to produce content in a certain way, because that's what the algorithm wants. But I suppose in other jobs, you're being forced to work in a certain way because that's what your company wants. So it's that kind of that lack of control and that lack of ownership and focusing on things that you might not really, really enjoy, and the inability to turn off. They were the things that kind of really struck me about, what causes burnout.